Hello guys and welcome back to another episode. My name is Clusty. I play games so that you don't have to. Today's episode is a very special episode, so if you're new around here, make sure you like, comment and subscribe and all that good stuff. And today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be bringing you my Star Wars Outlaws review. Now, I'm sure you've all been waiting in anticipation to hear what old Clusty has to say about a game that's already dead. But, you know, I gave it the benefit of the doubt. And we'll at the end of this, we're going to give it a rating, and I'm going to give you an insight into the ratings. We're going to call it, like, representative of the channel. They are going to be Clustafucks. You're going to be rated out of 5 Clustafucks. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. You know, like one big clusterfuck, right? So that's how we're going to do this. And I'm going to rate this game towards the end of my review. And yeah, bear in mind, everyone that ever watches this, listens to this, or what have you, and the publishers of the game, this is only my opinion. And my opinion doesn't mean shit in a world full of other opinions, okay? So this is just my opinion, as I've put in some time and effort into playing this game and trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, even though the reviews and such that I had read were not great, and heard and seen. Okay, so I'm going to begin with a little bit of a, you know, as a long-time Star Wars fan, I went into Star Wars Outlaws with kind of high expectations, high hopes, maybe excited kind of to explore 100% of explore the galaxy, you know, basically in the first ever open world setting for Star Wars, you know. Unfortunately, what I got was a frustrating and underwhelming experience that basically left me disappointed. More than I was immersed in the game, unfortunately. Sort of first and foremost, it was very prevalent in my playthrough, as you probably heard me and the people that are listening to this. The technical issues were hard to ignore. Like every time I launched the game, the graphic settings were reset to default or for GeForce, whatever. So forcing me to manually adjust them every time before I even started the game. This is 2025, ladies and gentlemen. This kind of problem feels inexcusable, especially from a AAA title with such a massive IP behind it. It killed immersion for me, the game, before the game even started, and every day that I would record, I'd feel less immersed because I constantly had to fuck around with settings, to put it politely. So that was a major issue for me. Please understand that this is Ubisoft, one of the biggest game publishers, and obviously under a lot of scrutiny recently in the gaming industry and such. But like, we have to remember back to the fact that EA, Electronic Arts, had the rights to the Star Wars franchise for the longest time, okay? And I think, as far as I'm aware, I believe they didn't have that many hits in terms of Star Wars, right? And I think it got to the point where you know, like back in the day, even BioWare, who EA bought, BioWare was probably, like, if you ask people the best Star Wars game, a lot of old school gamers, and probably maybe even some newer generation gamers, would definitely have said the Knights of the Old Republic, BioWare Star Wars game is probably one of, if not the best Star Wars adaptation, right? So EA were given an opportunity. I feel like they hit and miss, for the most part but they gave it a good shot, right? And then a lot of the audience and the core Star Wars fans were a bit disgruntled that EA weren't really pushing the boundary, maybe. So they offered that, you know, they relinquished the rights to it or whatever, and then it was probably a bidding war, I would imagine. I don't know for guarantee. I haven't done all that much research into this shit, but this is stuff that I you know, remember over the years as a gamer and hearing. So don't take this verbatim. So Ubisoft were given an opportunity to produce, and it feels like they have fallen flat again. Unfortunately. Now, what I would say is that without a shadow of a doubt, right, that I lost my train of thought now. So without a shadow of a doubt, they could have done a better job of this, right? 100%. Now, the problem that I have is that Ubisoft isn't just known for third person, right? Like, there are many other games and titles that they have that are very different to this title. Now, I looked up the other day, yesterday, what genre this game is under, and I believe it is action adventure game. Now, I don't know if that is the correct genre necessarily. There is definitely action if you want action, but I must admit and tell you, do not take action. I would say play this game like you are playing Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs, so to speak. Maybe not even Watch Dogs. I feel like Watch Dogs was even Watch Dogs Legion. Like, you could technically have action, you know, without the constant I need to hide consistently. But again, this is my point. My main point here is this game is literally a carbon copy of every other game. Not every other game, but every other action adventure game that I've played from Ubisoft. This is going back to Assassin's Creed 1 days, right? The first ever Assassin's Creed that I played, okay, when I was a kid, and so on and so forth. I have literally, like, let me just have a look at exactly when. Let me look when Assassin's Creed, the original, came out, right? Assassin's Creed, like, release date. The first ever Assassin's Creed came out on 13th of November 2007. Okay, 2007, and it is 2025, so that is 20. No, that is 18 years. So for 18 years, oh, let's just say 18 years ago, they created a game that was built on stealth alone, right? And movement and somewhat parkour. But the majority of that game is literally stealth. You hide in the grass or whatever. I don't even know if it was introduced then, but regardless, you hide within things, you hide within hay, etc., to foil an enemy and take them down, whatever. Like, you know, leaving them unconscious or whatever. 18 years later, you literally put a Star Wars coat on Assassin's Creed and said, there's your Star Wars game. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure the writers and the people that created the characters and the story, which I do like the story. I've got nothing wrong with, there's nothing wrong with the story. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with the setting. I just think if you're going to create a Star Wars game that would be received by everyone, or majority at least, like, you know, like an 80% majority, for them to enjoy it, genuinely, I think it should have less stealth. It should have just gone down the avenue of it's an action adventure game, and realistically, Kay, or you know, the main protagonist in the story, is what I would like to have said as like a, almost like a, what do we call it? Han Solo, right? Kind of characters. Like, it's just giving me that vibe, and I think you know, like a smuggler and kind of, you know, a little bit risky, etc., etc. Kind of got that vibe, but that's what they were going for, right? So Kay Vess is the character's name. So Kay was kind of very much like a Han Solo kind of character. Now, in my opinion, would I see Han Solo hiding in grass, stealthing his way around certain areas? I get that she's a thief and that's kind of her story, but like applying, the name of the game is Outlaw, but she's not an outlaw. Outlaw kind of, you know, it goes back to the fucking 1800s, the late 1800s, like Wild West, you know, Red Dead Redemption shit. This is not it. She is literally a thief. They should have just called it Star Wars Thief, or Star Wars Creed, or Star Wars Dogs, or some shit. Because literally, like I was saying, unfortunately for the writers and the designers of the game, like just the Assassin's Creed approach to this game doesn't work for me, unfortunately. For a Star Wars game, like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, unfortunately. Now, if I was going to suggest a company to potentially, I don't know, give a Star Wars franchise to just see if they can do anything, maybe go over to the dev team at No Man's Sky and allow them to fuck around with some stories and lore and such, and see what they could potentially produce within their world. If you're going to just allow companies to take Star Wars IP and just add it into kind of their way of games, like the way the games are produced, i.e. Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, etc., then why not allow other companies to potentially do that? Because I almost, like, I've always said, I think either BioWare back in their heyday should have had Star Wars, and or Bethesda would have been a great option. Like, but then, you know, they did Starfield, which wasn't great. So they failed before they, you know, were even given an opportunity. So, you know, that kind of shot me in the face. But regardless, I think the way that they've gone about the game, the way it plays, is horrible, bro. And you're seeing, like, right now, you're seeing me in combat, okay? You'll see that I die a lot because I'm choosing to not take the route that they are forcing me to take. They strongly want you to just go stealth. It's very clear from the amount of enemies that keep spawning in consistently, constantly. And bear in mind, this is only on normal difficulty, okay? I don't think I'm completely shit at games by any sense of the mean, but like playing a game on normal, I shouldn't really. Someone who's been playing games, I'm 38 years old. Someone who's been playing games for the majority of their life, you know, since probably 6-7 years old, I've been playing computer games, you know. Technically, the amount I've played computer games, I should be a professional gamer by definition of the amount of hours I've played computer games, right? But that's not the case. I'm not a professional gamer, but I do understand mechanics and such of a game, and yet still I find myself in a position where, like, I attempt to go balls to the wall. You know how a lot of games will give you the option for stealth or the option for all-out attack. This game heavily leans towards stealth. Like, probably I'd say 90 to 95%, they want you to just be stealthy about every single mission that you do. And there are probably even more missions later on in the game that are even harder. Like, but I would say this particular mission that I'm doing is for a pair of the first improved leggings for Kay. Okay? I do eventually finish this. Didn't get the leggings, ran out of the building, and had to go back. Would you believe it? But anyway. I digress. I really do digress. So, first and foremost, the technical issues are hard to ignore, right? Every time I launch a game, the graphics settings reset to default. This is annoying. Then there's the gameplay itself. Outlaws was marketed as an action adventure game, right? But what I got was a stealth heavy experience that feels at odds with what many of us would have expected, right? Especially me. I've maybe seen a few people playing over on Twitch or YouTube, etc., and clips on socials, but never really sat down and watched episodically someone play through the game. So I'd never really seen like their progression through the stealth, etc. So I'd never seen that, so I didn't really know what I was expecting, but I was kind of expecting more of like a Mass Effect style, or you know, like it's Star Wars, like you kind of expect to be a little bit overpowered, you know, for the most part. That's kind of my vibe anyway. The emphasis on sneaking around and avoiding direct confrontation is not what I came for. Sure, stealth can be fun when it's one of several options, and this is the key point I want to point out, that the emphasis on sneaking around and avoiding direct confrontation is not what I came for. Stealth can be fun when it's one of several options, but here it feels like the main, if not only, visible approach or viable approach. Sorry. Now, this is 100% true. Like I said, that I'd say 95% of every mission they are pushing you to just stealth your way through it. All right. Now, I have an issue with that because it's not, the stealth in itself is not great. So it's very easy. You can't. Do I want to play a Star Wars game where I just sit in a corner and wait for NPCs to slowly maneuver away around their map, around the map, or distract, or you know, it's like this shit, right? And I'm just thinking about it now. This game mechanics is basically fucking Metal Gear Solid 2 era mechanics, like whistling, like, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, I know games are successful, but even Metal Gear Solid these days isn't that successful anymore. Anyway, which, like, this is a problem as well. Like, it if not the only thing, it's the only viable approach, right? Which quickly became repetitive and limits the sense of freedom that an open world Star Wars game should offer. Completely. Like, this is crazy. Graphically and thematically, the game does have moments of brilliance, and the environments can be beautiful, which I agree with. But, you know, this is 100% when the settings actually stick, but it's hard to appreciate the visuals when I'm constantly distracted by bugs and uninspired stealth sequences, man. Like, it's crazy. Ultimately, Star Wars Outlaws feels like a missed opportunity. It leans too heavily on stealth mechanics at the expense of the fast-paced action and player agency that the Star Wars universe is known for. Until some serious patches and content updates arrive, I cannot recommend this game to fans expecting a dynamic, action-packed adventure throughout the galaxy. Right, now, honestly, I wish this was made by a different company, and probably, like, I couldn't even, like, even I think even Naughty Dog probably would do a better job of it, in all honesty. And loads of, and they're going into their own space game now. Like, you know, they've got their own new IP that they're going to be doing, which is cool. Which also, like, tidbit information, I believe the main character of the new Naughty Dog game is going to be someone that is in The Last of Us season 2. And she played Gaia in the 100. I believe she's going to be the main protagonist in the Naughty Dog space game, which I'm looking forward to eventually when it comes to PC. But anyway, I digress. So in short, I do not recommend this to anyone. Do not pay £30. Do not pay £15. I know people like this game, dislike this game, and in between. I don't recommend paying money for this game. Ironically, I will say this, ironically, after I purchased the game at full price off Steam, 2 days later, Ubisoft brought out the demo, announced that you can now test the game for free before you purchase it, which is ironic. The fact that I'd already just paid full price, and then 2 days later they gave me the option to play it for free, and I wouldn't have had to, you know, do all this. But at the end of the day, I paid for the games to respect the game devs and the company itself, because at the end of the day, just because they made a bad game or they made a carbon copy game to every other game that was popular for them, doesn't mean they're a bad company. It just means they made bad choices for this particular game, you know. And unfortunately, a lot of bad choices have been made, it would seem, and they do get a lot of stick, right? But maybe they should stick to their own lanes in terms of, unless they're willing to try something new, because this isn't something new for them. I don't think this is realistically just painting Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs with another brush. Also, the jumping is fucking terrible. It looks so janky. As you can see, I'm dying a lot. Yeah, I wanted to keep all these clips in. This is basically the episode that I filmed. I've cut it down a little bit here and there. You'll probably hear me narrating in the background, just effing and jeffing. I have slightly less on the volume on that stuff. But so what we can do, we can come up with the review. So the review is, don't buy this game, play it for free, try the demo if you wish to try it. Make sure you fuck around with the settings, go back out, come back in and see if it changes. You know, please do some stress test the game. If you're going to play the demo, please stress test the game, because in my opinion, I wish it was better, man. Like, this is my honest opinion. I wish this game was better. They had a good opportunity. They've got some good things about this game, but the fact that that's completely outweighed by the stealth mechanisms within the game. Like, and it's solely a stealth game. They really just want you to do stealth because your character is a thief. I get it, but the fact that it's too close to the nose for everything else. Like, she could be wearing a hood and dancing around on roofs. And in actual fact, I think what's ironic is I think there's actually more parkour in this than Watch Dogs Legion, which I thought was meant to be some kind of parkour game alongside hacking. Hacking and parkour was kind of the thing for that, but you know, maybe I'm wrong on there. So now we get to the real good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. The Clustafuck rating. What am I going to rate Star Wars Outlaws out of 5? Drum roll, please. This is one big clusterfuck. It gets a 1 from me. Do I recommend anyone buy it? No, do not buy it. Try the demo, see how it plays, stress test the fuck out of it, and then make your opinion. Realistically, I think they could have done a much better job in terms of game mechanics. I think the story is probably really good from what I saw, like, and played. You know, the story is good. I like the story idea. I just think the fact that it's not really optimal to just go in guns blazing, as you see me go through this episode. It's not optimal at all to do that. Whereas, like, even if they just allowed it to be a little bit more optimal, that you had the choice of going in guns blazing, or so you didn't feel like you always needed to stealth, then this score might be a lot better. But yeah, so overall, happy, unhappy. I'm kind of medium with this. Like, disappointed more. But again, maybe a few bad decisions that were made. But again, It's too late now, you know. So in my opinion, it gets a 1 clusterfuck out of 5, and yeah, that's going to be my review. So appreciate everyone who's watched the series so far. This is going to be the concluding video to the Star Wars Outlaws series, and I can, for anyone who watched this video to the end, I will be recording. This has taken me a few days to record. Honestly, the weather in England has been beautiful. Been spending time with the family, doing some gardening, doing some renovating in the house as well. So I've, you know, had a lot of things going on at once. But there is a new series coming very soon, and I'm very excited to play this game, as I know it's going to be, regardless of bugs and such, that I am going to be happy playing this game. So this will be one that will finally be completed, but I may jump on a few other indie games and such coming up, and doing some quick series, quick playthroughs of games, trying to get some thoughts and opinions on those games and get reviews out like this video. So yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like on it, make sure you comment, and yeah, subscribe, y'all. My name is Clusty. I play games so you don't have to, especially this 1 out of 5 clusterfuck of a game, Star Wars Outlaws. So I appreciate all of you. You have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video.